Вітання з українського.
Greetings from Ukraine Crisis Media Center. This is the program UCMC-DOBRE project community spokespersons, and we speak with amalgamated communities heads about this. We speak about decentralization. This is the initiative of the Media Center and DOBRE project. And the main aim is to develop Ukraine. All we live in communities, in town and rural communities, and we have different opportunities to self-actualize ourselves. That's why self-governance reform based on decentralization was initiated. So local communities is based on capable communities, and they are formed by unification of several communities, and the power is shifted at a grassroots level to implement these responsibilities. And these communities become responsible for provision of services to population. So today we invited here Nila Ostrovska, head of Krasylivska Amalgamated community. So the first question: what is the role of Krasylivka Amalgamated community in building a prosperous Ukraine? You said it correctly that communities, they are the main driver for creating prosperous Ukraine. So we implement positive changes, and people are waiting for these changes. And I'm glad that we do a lot of positive things now, more than before decentralization. According to last year's ratings, out of 90 communities with population of more than 25,000, we are at 11th place. And this speaks for itself. So we have indicators for first half year of 2019. I would like to mention 96 amalgamated communities, like Krasylivska community. You are on the 19th place. The number of communities increased, but this is only for the first half of the year. So we have so you had at Krasylivska Council before you were deputy head. So what is the difference between managing the council and the Krasylivska amalgamated community? So a lot of changes were brought by the reform, and first, I thought that real life is somewhere outside, and these people are dealing with some boring things, and I didn't want to participate. But then there were local elections in Krasyliv, and private entrepreneur, a woman, she won elections, and she didn't use state funds. She didn't use money of the state. She created her own business, and people elected her as the city head, and she asked me to be her deputy and to implement real changes, to start the real changes. And of course it was really difficult for us to work. Before, there was no transparent allocation of land plots, there were no tenders in legislation. And we came and we started to write proper documents to carry out these tenders concerning state properties. And some people didn't like these new rules, where everything is open and fair and transparent. And there was a moment when during the meeting, they said that they do not trust me, and I was morally ready to go back to business, to do business where I have good results. But I saw that secret voting revealed that a majority of the deputies supported me, and they support real changes for transparency, and this was a really big moment in my life. And I saw that our ideology, our principles that we implement at our level, that these things are supported by people. And then everything became simpler. I followed my dreams. I did good for people, and this satisfied me. So 2011, 2012, 2013, resources were lacking. I was city head, but at that time there was no proper self-governance. The budget was the budget of spending, not the budget of development. But we searched for opportunities. I remember 2011. We had enough money only to build an alley, but we didn't have money for benches, and we announced that contest that was called Provide a Bench to Your City, and we were able to put these benches in our park, and these were good steps. Together with communities, with private business, step by step, we started to move forward. We started to provide trottoirs on roads where no any asphalt before. There was no any asphalt before. Children go to school, to polyclinics. There were also 2 plants. There was no safe trottoir, and we've created it. At that time, we had small resources, but we were able to start this. After the revolution of dignity, after 2014, when there was budget decentralization, we had more opportunities. It doesn't satisfy us, money is lacking still, but we were able to create trottoirs faster. Now all our main streets are asphalted. We started to build water supply lines and lighting for our streets, and we bought a bus before. Quality of transportation was at the low level. Private transporters, they didn't do the business properly, and we resolved the issue. We buy good buses. We managed to do a lot of good things, and we believe that there is proper self-governance in Ukraine. Yes, there are a lot of problems, but we are moving forward to implement our plans. Before, we didn't dream of it. So, Nila, this is really interesting, but your community is really surprising. When reforms started, you were in administration first, and then you had the community. So these regional administrations, they continue to block decentralization. We feel these consequences now. And you came out of this cohort, and you had another process. Many people in administration, they are afraid of losing their responsibilities. No, I'm a different person. I like to work on positions that are elected by people. If people trust me, then I have a right to take decisions and to move forward if I have trust of people. In 2013, the reform started, and my main task as a head of administration was to create amalgamated community, and I saw that the state is ready to provide responsibilities and also resources. And of course, we should use this opportunity. And unfortunately, in 2015, we were not able to create an amalgamated community. We had different reasons for this. We fought for 2 years. In 2017, a community of Krasylivska was formed, but it was not full. And in 2016, 2017, time was lost, and we lost a lot of resources, all our region. I saw other regions that created amalgamated communities, and they had 20 million per year for development of infrastructure, and our region lost about 50 million. And I feel really bad for this, because we lost not only time but also resources. Now we have support of the state. A lot of communities have been created and we'll have less support. Last year we had 2.7 million and we provided it for village development. Also we have 2.5 million, and this is 10 times less than we would have in 2016. So your community earns enough. It may share the resources with others. What about your cooperation with business, with the sources of added value, because this is important for development? Yes, we were lucky. In the territory of our city, we have Prom enterprise aggregate plant. It is really powerful. 700 people are working there, and we have sugar plant and obolon plant and machine building plant, and we have filtron plant, and we have investment, foreign investment. So we have some taxes from them, but rural population suffers from lack of employment, and we are working a lot in order to involve investors to build small processing enterprises. For example, to create juice or to freeze berries or fruit, and this will we have a base for this in our territory. Cooperation with business is really important. Recently, I have been in Toronto, in one of the provinces. We went there with our delegation, and we saw that they have reports from business. We should report on our work. We report to community, to the public, but each quarter we should gather those people who provide money to the budget in order to speak about procurement, about money and how this money is spent. We should speak with business. Do you have problems with gray salaries? I cannot say that we do not have such a problem, because this is a problem in Ukraine. Some legislation is lacking, and also there is lack of some control and a lot of taxes on salaries. And of course, there should be proper adherence to legislation, and now we have some positive changes. We have an inspector who checks this correspondence to legislation, but we do not want to punish people. We would like to be partners, to cooperate with the private entrepreneurs, because these people are respected. They create work for themselves, and they create workplaces for workers. They want to earn, they pay taxes, salaries. We would like to cooperate with them. And our rates are not controlling. We have a working group, and we would like to explain to people about legislation, about laws, and we help them in registration and different aspects of legislation. So we do not have unregistered workers in our community because we are trying to cooperate and to explain that each kopeck from private business goes for development of our community. Nila, before this you've mentioned enterprises that are in the territory of your community. I heard a lot of such questions. Maybe those communities who hear us now, they say, oh, they have enterprises, that's why they are rich, but we do not have such enterprises. Why should we get united? What can you tell them? For example, if they do not have Ukrbranprom enterprise in their territory, do they have to unite? There is a method developed by the Cabinet of Ministers, and these specialists, they should estimate whether the community be powerful, successful. I believe that powerful communities should be created. They should not wait for help from the state. They should move forward and they should resolve local problems. Recently, some bad processes started because some people create communities only to create a community, but they do not have proper enterprises. They do not have order in land issues, and this is really important. Those who work on land, if they do business properly, in accordance with the legislation, they pay taxes 14%, and there are some people who have 3% of taxes and they don't want to move forward. But we cooperate and the situation becomes better. If communities plan to rigidly make orders in land issues, if they have plans to attract investment, to create processing plants of agricultural products, then they should create a community moving forward. As a head of local council, you say that workplaces should be created, and you help to create working places. I heard from one of the heads of the community that this is the responsibility of the state, and local government should not interfere into this. We do not have a direct influence. We cannot directly influence on private business to force them to open some plants in our territory. But if we provide transparency, if we allocate land based on auction, and it should be done quickly and transparently, and if all the documents are properly and quickly adopted, if there are no delays, then business will see that we do not demand some unknown things, that we do not do anything inappropriate. This will attract good business, and I would like this business in our territory and in Ukraine. So you have 7 local councils, and according to the plan, 23 city councils should be in your community. But why they didn't join? It's not easy to explain. Maybe this is the issue with the leaders of communities. As I've said, we were trying to create powerful community during 2 years, and to have 23 councils. Unfortunately, we didn't succeed in this. We met with people, we traveled a lot. Then other people came to the public and they said that let's live and see how others are moving forward, and they asked people to wait, and that's why we lost a lot of resources. And some leaders, they were not able to get resources for their community. It was surprising for me that they didn't want to use this opportunity. So your community takes half of the region if we are speaking about the territory. No, half of population, not half of the territory, and 20 local councils, they work in the previous format. And maybe regional administration will have salaries and they will deal with these regions. What about the cooperation with regional administration today? We are trying not to dispute, we are trying to cooperate because we have similar tasks to help people. But this reform is not completed, and we have some problems. Yes, we are trying not to have arguments. We cooperate with regional council, but the primary level of healthcare was not transferred to us. Several votes are lacking, and we are a powerful community, about 25,000 population. We do not have a primary level of healthcare. We are waiting for completion of decentralization reform, and then the territorial structure will be established properly. So I have a lot of photos here on the screen. I see some vehicles, some wonderful parks, and recreational zones, and asphalted roads. So you've managed to do it in this short period of time. A lot has been done. It was not done in 20 years ago. So those villages that didn't join communities, maybe they are envy, maybe they want some changes in their territory. So people see positive changes, and these changes speak for themselves. People see that real changes in rural areas are going on, and the subsidy for infrastructure, it is calculated per resident. And with our deputies, we send all this money to develop village territories, and we provide money from the city budget. And we started to build roads in rural areas because villages suffer from bad roads, and our villages are wonderful. And in each village last year, we provided 370 or even 500 of roads, and 2 million of subsidies, and 5 million from the budget, from our budget. And we concluded the contracts, 300 per hectares, and agrarian provided more than 1 million for roads. And this year we are planning to continue. In one of the villages, they said in 8 years we will have a road to Krasylivska that will be fully asphalted. But I would like to do it in 3 or 5 years. And I saw also mini football field and the construction of a new sports center. Before reform, we didn't even dream about this. Now rehabilitation center with a swimming pool is being built. Many people dreamt about it. Some people believe that this is a luxury, that this is not a necessity, but we are speaking about health of people. Unfortunately, we have a lot of children who need this rehabilitation, disabled kids, and we do not have our own center, and it is being built for 3rd year, and it will enter in operation soon. We started the reconstruction of our filtration facility, and this is our care for environment, because many filtration facilities were built in 1970s and they do not work properly. New technologies arrive and reconstruction is costly, and due to the state we hope that this project will be implemented in the nearest future. Also in Krasylivska, we plan to open kindergarten. This was a dream of the villagers, and next year we'll start construction of kindergarten in the city. We have a positive trend, and we have more children now, and this facility is needed. We build water supply lines, and we provide electricity, lighting for streets, and we create trottoirs. And this is really necessary for our people. And what are the priorities of the development of community for midterm prospect? Do you have a strategic plan of development? We participated in a contest, and we are in the in the list of 10 of the winners, and this is supported by Germany and EU. And now we think about the future of our community. We surveyed our residents of different professions, different social layers. We asked about tourism and about other things. And this work helps us to get united, and we clearly see our plans now, and we can repair roads, and we may improve the territory near the multi-storied buildings, and people may see our plan of actions, and they will see what changes will be introduced. On the side of Krasylivska community, recently I saw that the community introduces participatory budget. I know what it is. Maybe some people do not know about this participatory budget. What projects are submitted? This is new for us. We only start, and we want that people participated actively, and we want them to participate in allocation of the budget. Some people do not want to think about budget spending, but they like to criticize nevertheless, and people should get involved, and they should see how we spend budget money to allocate money for the projects to people who live in private sector or in multi-storied buildings. This is not about roads or roofing, because these are hundreds of thousands here. We cannot force people to make such big projects. But we would like to have some small development projects for the territory, or for example, setting some playgrounds for children. We would like to see initiative from people. We only started, so we do not have projects at the moment. And in September, during the meeting, we will sign proper documents. And the social media issues were raised about one of the kindergartens. This is our facility, and we should take care of this facility. So people, they should first understand what projects they can provide, and we will provide explanations to them. You've said some people do not want to think about the budget. They do not understand how they can participate. And what about your contribution? How do you help people? Do they come to you with some proposals, some advice? You know, I like to travel to people. We meet people in different places. We have visiting tours, and there are some interesting facts. People address us not only to voice the problem. They now trust us. They understand that if they voice the problem, we will build a plan, a strategy, how to resolve the problem. And the trust of people is really valuable for us. And I advise all the heads of the communities to speak with people, to communicate with people more. Recently, I watched one film about post-war time in Great Britain. Churchill didn't know how to take one decision, and he passed near the underground station, and he just come to people, and then he was able to take proper decision. You've said about your visit to Canada, you represented your Khmelnytskina Oblast, because each oblast sent the representatives, and you've said that Canadians love their country, and Ukrainians in Canada, they preserve this Ukrainian spirit. What should we do in order to love our country? What is the recipe how to love the place you were born in? We came to Toronto. The next day was the Day of Canada, and I was impressed. Balconies, stores, streets, everywhere there were flags, and people were in colors and of the national flag, and I was really impressed. I wanted to cry. I was impressed that people really love and respect their country, and in this country the law is tough. If, for example, grass in private land is higher than allowed height, they pay fines for this. But they respect the order. 5,000 for smoking. But people respect and love their nation that established such rigid rules, and people adhere to these rigid rules. I cannot say that Ukrainian that they do not love their nation, but you know that communist regime, it really destroyed Ukraine, tried to destroy Ukrainian spirit. It shed a lot of blood. It destroyed Ukrainian intelligentsia, Ukrainian intellectual people. And we should preserve Ukrainian spirit in our heart. And in Khmelnytsky, now I hear a lot of Ukrainian speech. Before, there was a lot of Russian speech. In Kiev, I hear Ukrainian speech, and it is really pleasant for me. We should return to all that is Ukrainian, and God will help us. And we should thank God for language, for culture, for wonderful land, because I believe that our Ukraine is the most beautiful land. No matter where we go, I hear people saying, "Oh, I want to go home. I want to go to my homeland." So first we should respect ourselves, and I would like to remind to you that today we were speaking with Nila Ostrovska, head of Krasylivska Amalgamated community. Thank you very much. Till next time, goodbye.